but it's also because he's not going to entertain some non-Coretta Scott King and non-Michelle Obama type behavior while he's trying to do something serious in his life. So Chaudhry tries to object, so doesn't float. So then she goes on to say, so you said he wasn't speaking with you. Did you understand that was because he was working? He wasn't speaking to me because he was angry at me for going to the festival. Objection, speculation, he told me that. But like, you know, we get all these other things where it's like with the buttons and the Priya Satyani talking to the manager. Well, we know that you were told why he was angry with you, but at the same time you danced around that. But here you just boldly flat out say that's why he's mad at you. So, did there come a time when he did speak to you again? Yes. And what did he say to you in substance?
Let me add also, he's angry at me for going to the festival. Couldn't there be more things he's angry at you? There's like a list of things. One of them includes that you went to the festival, and not to mention the phone calls with other people, strangers' phones, and I'm a celebrity, and not to mention the partying and the stupid stuff that you partook in. There's a lot of reasons. The hours without contact. There's a lot of reasons that he could have been at. One of them could have been, I'm angry because you went.
Or do you know where he was actually located filming at this time? I know in July he was in Los Angeles, but I'm not sure about June. This is the end of June, right? So let's say, for example, he's in Los Angeles and she's calling him whenever she feels like she can actually contact him. She's trying to text him all day with any and anybody's phone, which sounds like Klinger Stage 8 girlfriend to me, rather than someone just trying to prove to their boyfriend that they're not just inaccessible. But then whenever it's her free time, when the signal's good at night in Glastonbury, she's calling him on her own time. What time works for her? Her schedule works for her. Talk to me now. He could be busy. He could be resting. He could be asleep. He could be on set. Like, you know what I mean? So that's another reason he could be upset, because you're just trying to work and you're being interrupted because someone's calling you drunk, trying to like, do you love me, babe? Say you love me.
No, you first.
I'll say that's a little creative licensing on my part, but I don't think I'm that far off. But they go on. Galloway says, did there come a time when he did speak to you again? Yes. And what did he say to you in substance? Just in substance. It was when I said that I would go places without my friends and that he was my priority. He then was like, you don't have to say that, but it means a lot. Then we kind of just picked up back to normal. Did this incident impact your behavior in the relationship moving forward? Yeah. Also my relationship when I wasn't with him, if that makes sense. Can you explain to the members of the jury? Sorry. She's looking at the jury. Sorry, I'm not talking to you. Yeah. Just more I would feel anxious if I was with my friends and I wasn't talking to him constantly, because I would worry. Yeah. I was just worried of the reaction of that. So then they go to July 2022. Now, this is like candle incident or whatever. But the point here is she's acting like this is the moment in the relationship. So they meet each other in August 2021. By the end of June, going into July, she has this kind of moment where she's like, well, I'm isolated now. I can't have friends. I can't do anything because it's going to upset him. That's how she's framing this to the jury and probably to the prosecution. Who knows? But this stuff that we looked at was from July. These are the same friends. Like, so she says after Glastonbury, like, she can't have friendships anymore. But she's hanging out with the same people she was at Glastonbury with. Clearly without Jonathan Majors there. So none of that is an issue. But she's telling the jury it's an issue because they're not going to have a way to go and know better.
They're not.
She can just get away with it.
Oh.
They should be like me. They should be like me. And the next thing that we get into, and I think it's the same one, it's like page 85. Let me see.
Jonathan's friend at Glatzo probably ratted on her behavior, and that's why he went off and called her embarrassing. You know?
Yeah. Oh.
He could have heard the stories from her reliable confidants talking about, oh, be careful with her. Hey, she's a drunk driver type of person.
She's been here 8 years. I know her from this festival because she said she's gone for 10 years. So she went this year, she went that year. That's at least 8 other years she's gone to this festival consistently. So if she runs into someone that somehow he also happens to know, it could be that Jabari only knows this person because they run into each other at this festival. Now, one of Grace Jabari's friends seems like very influencer status, like lifestyle influencer, Instagram girl, like really beautiful, does lots of trips. Even her highlights on Instagram are like, this is me in Bali, this is me in Indonesia, just traveling all the time. And they have pictures.
Isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know. That's how my brain's working. That's probably why I said them back to back. But in any case, she's traveling, and Grace Jabari has done trips with her. In fact, up until about 2016, it looked like the two of them were like peas in a pod. And then there's another friend that she starts being more peas in a pod with. But there are some like group things like around Christmas and birthdays where the whole gang is together. Mm-hmm. But like around 2016 is when Grace Jabari, she gets out of like Rembrandt dance school. Is that where she went to? Something like that. But a nicer art school. This is where she's getting linked up with Ben Toddy and Box Artist Management and Holly Blakey's choreography team. So through that time period, she's traveling and doing other things. And then come 2021, she also is on the set of Ant-Man. She meets Jonathan Majors. She was hanging out. She was in some pictures with some other band that looks pretty popular right at the beginning of August 2021. And she just tags the one guy from the band in it. It's a picture of her in the studio. She doesn't tag the whole band or the band's page. She just tags the one guy.
And why
so
is that
you guys do with that detail what you will.
I know. I need to know what to do with that detail. I don't know what to do with it.
I don't know. It could be similar to someone possibly making a caption like this, LYSM, after they got broken up with for Glastonbury, and then get back together and come fly out to spend some time in Los Angeles, where your ex-boyfriend that you get back together with is living with his 2 dogs, and you're showing people. That might be a reason why you would tag one person, and only one person, when the studio you're standing in relates to a whole band. You know?
Okay. Yeah, you're trying
it's just signals. Mm-hmm. Just signals. Just signals. So let's see if anyone else is catching it. Yeah, hold on. Let me get this off of here. Can't stand the beach. I don't like how it does that. That's better.
You like this better
than the other? And then what am I missing?
I like the big.
Yeah, it's because I sit sideways.
Yeah.
It's because my screen's diagonal in front of me. Mm-hmm. So Jonathan's friend at Glasto probably ratted on her behavior. Yeah, so you're right. You guys in the chat are so sharp. And let's see. It was an online... So, Eliza, what are you talking about here? I read something early last year, sometime in May. Then anything related to that story was just, there was an incident. The comedian mentioned the London incident where Jabari slapped him across the face in front of people. I heard the same story early last year. Yeah, we've got to brainworm that. So everyone, there's this thing. So the comedian, I mentioned him the other day. He had like he's popular anyway, but I think this video that he did on Jonathan Majors is outperforming some of the other videos on his channel. I think it's Josh Johnson. It was good. I thought it was really fair.
I've been sent it from like 5 different people, and well, what were you gonna say? It's good. It was comedy, right? It was just stand up.
Yeah, I think it was comedy. I think it was like it was a skilled comedy set. You know, it wasn't just someone like Coretta. Like it wasn't one of those like I'm gonna get easy clicks for engagement. He had punches. He had some recall. You know, but he mentioned something, and more than one person's pointed it out now, that Jabari slaps him across the face in front of a bunch of people. And the only thing I can think of is there was some report back in July, it involved July 2022, that the police were called about something. And they don't specify who the parties are, or if the action went from Jonathan Majors to someone else, or if it went from that person to Jonathan Majors. But remember, in the DIR, the domestic incident report that Jonathan Majors files in not the 10th precinct, but the 3rd precinct in New York City, he says, yeah, she's hit me before, and mentions some July 2022 incident. Uh-huh. So that could be the dots that somehow Josh Johnson is familiar with. And, you know, maybe he's a comedian and he's finding source material the same way Eliza remembers hearing something, the same way a few other people have remembered hearing something. Or maybe he's just like come across a situation. I don't know Josh Johnson's background, but maybe he went to some like acting school. A lot of stand-up comedians do improv classes, acting classes, you know? So I think that's the kind of thing, if you guys as a crowd start like talking about and looking for, could probably find it all. And yeah, I'm gonna I try to be. I've been getting called Katy Perry a lot, so that's fine. And then Juanita says, if you've been going to Glastonbury for 10 years, you know which provider gives the best signal. She's on some utter BS. And you think at that point you couldn't just say like, hey, it's some Vodafone maybe that sets up like booster towers at the festival. So you could have been like, I'm going to get a phone from that carrier that can work off these booster signals. Or I can have Jonathan give me a third phone. Like, you know, he clearly had no problem giving me a phone number 2. So if this is really an issue, or he could have suggested it, you know, if that really was his issue. He had no problem giving her a second phone. Why couldn't he give her a
landline? There could have been other ways to do it. Where was she staying at? Somewhere without a phone? Come on now.
Okay, yeah, so Vodafone, yeah. Oh, my biggest carrier. Yeah, so but that's like what I'm getting at is like there's a solution if the problem leading up to it was, hey, there's not going to be any signal. You testify that you're already aware of this and discuss this with him before you leave to go to this festival. You guys could have handled that if that was really the issue. Easily. You know? And that's okay. Most autocorrect corrects my name to Matt with an M, so at least we got the right gender.
All because of this little thing that you did on Facebook where they wouldn't let you change your name. And now you're just Katt.
Oh, yeah. So when the song Cat Daddy came out, guys, I changed my Facebook name to Katt and then Daddy with a bunch of Y's, and then Facebook wouldn't let me change my name for a year. So everyone I met that year, it was the year I moved and met a lot of people, they didn't remember my name in person. They waited till they saw on Facebook and started calling me that. So it stuck.
That was the time when like Facebook started becoming the police. Like they needed everything official. You started needing to enter a phone number just so that, you know.
Yeah, if you were detected as spam, you had to start doing all that weird stuff.
Yeah.
That was an okay time. And let me pull up. Okay, I want to get to page 43. So there wasn't that much that was interesting about July 2022. Let me make sure I go back to the right screen share. Struggle streaming, guys. So did this like put you in? No, I took you out of it now. This one. All right, there we go. So July 2022, remember, this is where we're seeing this video she's posting from Los Angeles now. She just got done with Glastonbury. He went radio silent on her for a few days, even though she tried to frame it another way. Somehow they're in touch again, and she gets back on Instagram, posting from Los Angeles, saying, love you so much, and showing off that she's walking his dogs, where I didn't know Jonathan Majors' backstory, but it seems like all of you guys that are fans or part of the fan club know damn well who those 2 dogs belong to. So if you came across that video back in July of 2022, it would have been identifiable to any person that's familiar with Jonathan Majors and follows his news, who she was and who she was with, right? That's the point of her posting that.
And Zubaz walk dogs, that's him. Those are his. We know them.
Wait, you said Zubaz?
What do you call those striped zebra pants?
Wait,
they're not called Zubaz? Is there another name for it?
I don't know. I didn't know they had a name.
Hold up a minute. Zubaz. And I'll share my screen. Pants. Maybe I spelled it wrong. Zubaz. Yeah, they are called Zubaz pants. See?
Oh, okay.
Look.
Hold on, wait. Do you have it sharing?
Yeah, I'm sharing now. Here.
Okay.
Images. Zubaz pants.
Oh, geez. These look like really good Glastonbury Festival pants.
That's where she picked them up for him.
Just that and like a Von Dutch hat or something.
If your girl brought you something, clothing that you liked, and then you all of a sudden broke up, are you not allowed to post it? I'm sure you're gonna wear it, right? I'll still wear this to work out, I'll still use this here and there, but do you not post yourself in those clothings anymore? I think you have to.
Oh, so I reread the motion to dismiss today because I'm trying to put together
my question, but okay.
Well, okay, but in it, Priya says that jumper, the green jumper she wears, was a sweatshirt that was sentimental to him. So body cam Jabari picture where she's wearing just that green hoodie. Priya says it's a sweatshirt that's sentimental to Jonathan Majors.
It was bought in an auction. It once belonged to Coretta. It's okay when I make Coretta jokes. Okay.
If I'm about to move and leave, I'm not putting on your sweatshirt. Like, if I'm mad and pissed at you and I have the blue hoodie you're wearing right now, the last thing I'm gonna do is sit there and fall asleep in it. Like, that
Like,
makes no
we know
sense.
this wasn't the end of the relationship according to her. Like, she believed that
Yeah,
there
yeah,
was
yeah.
more to it. It's only until the making good relationship pops up and she sees that it is and there's an end point. She's like, "Oh, look, I don't even gotta press these charges. I just gotta roll with what the district attorney's doing against this fucking Jonathan. All I gotta
I
do is
think we all need to get these pants, by the way. We're gonna brand, can you make Chillmonger branded Zuba pants?
yeah, right after the leggings, the poly, what do you call them? What
I
the
don't know.
no, there's not gonna be no chill leggings or chill hammer time pants, okay?
I
The
agree,
girl was
Eliza.
traumatized from hearing it's over.
The girl is traumatized from hearing it's over. She got up in her car and sped out of the Glastonbury Festival, probably after she was done. It was probably like the 26th of June. As soon as the party ended that night, she didn't even want to sleep. I bet you. She didn't even want to sleep. She got right in that car and wanted her boyfriend to talk to her. And
That's all
she's
she
framing it as a
does, like,
totally different way.
she
That's
like, there's
every incident is that. Except the dog one, because that was like 2 sentences, but
but
probably that too
she just
somehow.
wanders through life like this, like, "Oh, there's the thing that I have to deal with this man," and she dealt with it, and now they're back together, and she was secretly recording him just to hold and use that against him one day if it ever comes in handy, and then she goes on to the next chaotic life, like,
Yeah, especially as because Danny and Pam, and again, I linked to their timeline video in the description. But especially when you start adding these dots together, September 2022, we're gonna come across that Toronto Film Festival red carpet thing, and then October, he's telling a interviewer, a journalist from Men's Health, "I'm very much single." Then by December, he's flying all of her friends out to New York City. All of this is, she's claiming she tried to extend their relationship to span 2 years. It was really a year and 7 months, August 2021 when they met, and then at the end of August. And then everything happens on March 25th of 2023. She's claiming like, oh, I'm on lockdown. I'm isolated from my friends. Everything was great in the beginning when we spent all this time together every day. We were inseparable. It was amazing. And then as soon as things start separating and he's working, and he's in Sag Harbor saying, hey, don't plan your schedule around me, she's freaking out and then trying to reframe that as abuse. So even here, when we get to July, he goes radio silent on her. I'm on the wrong screenshot here. Let's see. Are we in July 2022? Yeah, cool. So we get to July. This is right after she freaks out that he's not responding to her when she's saying, I had no signal, and he's mad that I'm not responding to him. But she admits that he wasn't responding to her for multiple days after she left the festival and had signal. So it can't be explained away by her not having signal. It doesn't compute. So they move forward just a little bit. She's doing this like dog video thing here in July. I love you so much. And then they ask her about it. So in July 2022, where were you? In between UK and Los Angeles. All right. And where were you in Los Angeles? To visit Jonathan.
mm-hmm.
And what was the defendant doing in Los Angeles? He was filming, working. And how long are you there? I would go for like a week at a time or a little longer. We kind of made this rule. We wouldn't ever spend more than 3 weeks apart. It would be like 3 weeks max. That would be it. So now, does that sound like a relationship where she's on lockdown, has to be a Susie homemaker, can't leave, you have to stay with me, you can't have friends, you're isolated?
Nah, 3 weeks away from your partner is not on control. That's actually kind of reasonable, and that's the maximum, she said,
And
right?
this is we wouldn't ever spend. After she just said it was great when we were together every single day. So it doesn't seem like any issue with the 3 weeks being apart is his and his alone. If anything, it's mutual, and it might possibly be a bigger problem for her than it is for him, which we'll see when we get to the Sag Harbor testimony and revisit that. So 3 weeks max, that will be it. That's the thing she says we made a rule about. So when you're in Los Angeles, the I love you so much video, what was the defendant's demeanor like at that time? So he's filming. He's under a lot of pressure. We're getting into the method acting. He's stressed out. And how did that impact your relationship? And she's going to make his stress her own grief and victimhood. Yeah, it felt a bit like I was just kind of walking around on eggshells. Like, it was just had to kind of be perfect. Because if I did one little thing that was maybe said one thing, and the temper would kind of show, and I just wanted to avoid it. But I wasn't working when I was there. I was working in London, so I felt like I would just try to make it as seamless as possible for him. And did there come a time when the defendant did become upset with you? So, she's crying. We're getting the I'm so sorry. It's okay. Take your time.
No,
Sorry.
because she does this a lot though. She'll just start crying so that you can enter and you can submit while she's crying, making noise and tearing up, and you can be like, oh, this, like, your imagination takes over. Your imagination as the jury, you're watching her and you're going, what? Oh, she went through something. There's an emotional reaction happening in front of my face, which makes me know that he was on some wrong, abusive type
Yep.
stuff. Look, she's clearly crying. It's amazing how the crying was used, and I want to take it back to that last day when she's on the stand. Hey, we're gonna now, because you opened the door, we're gonna play these text messages. Read these. And she starts reading it and she starts crying because she can't finish reading it. They wanted you to know that you couldn't even finish reading it so that you can imagine.
You would assume that she was the victim of whatever was being said that wasn't shown in those text messages and wasn't contextualized.
And they never
You were going to
contextualized
draw the
it.
conclusion
Keyword,
that the
they never,
context favors her story.
instead of asking her while she's there, okay, well, you seem to be crying. Did something happen to your head via Jonathan? Did he assault you on that day? They never tried to bring that up a second time. They just kind of just, oh, look, she's crying as she's reading these text messages, which
And who hurt you on March 25th, Jonathan Majors? Is that what you associate? Yeah. I bet some people were sitting there thinking those text messages were from March 25th, even though they did say, like, returning your attention to September. Well, you read through a whole block of text, your brain's going to lose that. And then the next thing you hear is March 25th.
If that's people in the jury who couldn't make the connection between it was in 2022 versus what happened on March 25, 23.
The public.
The people in real life who are just looking at the headlines, looking at, oh, shit, oh, really? He said these texts? Let me see these text messages. Yeah, they do make it seem like he put hands on her. Well, they don't know that they never used those text messages to prove he put hands on her in 2022. People just going to see the text and assume that in court, then there became an hour-long discussion about what happened and she explained that he did hit me. They think that she said after those text messages, after I said I don't want to go to the hospital, I couldn't go to the hospital, and it made it look bad because he was telling me not to go. I was also getting beat up and roughed up by Jonathan. They think that's what she said, and the text messages were there to prove that's what she said. But that didn't happen at all. They just read text messages. She cried to imply that he did something to her, just like she's doing here. And when she does it here, this is what, the third time by now that she's done it.
Yeah.
Why hasn't?
And this is still on direct. This is still on direct too, and it's the same thing. But with the redirect, the September 2022 text, they don't even lay the foundation. You know, normally when you want to produce text messages and publish them to the jury, you put it in front of the person. You say, "Does this look familiar to you? Is this true and accurate representation?" And then she's already crying, so they don't really even get through that initial let it in process. They just steamroll it in, which I think is another kind of issue with that. What happened on redirect? Maybe I'm recalling that wrong, but I remember they didn't do the same, like, you're supposed to sit there and read through the whole thing. You're not just supposed to look at something and say it looks familiar. You're supposed to read and then verify that it's true and complete, or an accurate in its completeness. And it seemed from the transcript reading and from the fact that everyone said the redirect was super speedy and short that was in the courtroom, that she didn't actually sit there and read it in front of her. She just saw it and said, "Yep, that's it. Oh, I can't read it." Which isn't normally how things come in.
Hey, I'm stream sharing on my channel. If you want more, go over to Katt's YouTube channel and check us out.
Yeah, you can hang out on both.
The 53rd.
But the chat is fun in here. So.